been there for many, many years. So if I can call you Philliph. Philliph, are you ready to begin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Sam.
Okay, thank you very much. And we're starting you at 10 sharp. So we'll
Okay.
be 10:20. We'll be wrapping up and then a Q&A. And thank you for being here.
Yes, it's a pleasure to join this platform of esteemed speakers, and presentation is topics very timely. As you can see, if you read my bio, I'm a professor of education, and I've been, of course, educated in Kenya and here in the U.S. Over 30 some years, and also partnering with the different organizations like Global Peace Foundation and other Kenyan diaspora organizations and African diaspora organizations in a search of mitigating the solutions, the problems faced by the development. And my background is also in international development. So I tend to look for solutions. As Dr. Freeman Lawrence shared, he shared statistics and the problems, which is indicative of what the pandemic has shown. The pandemic has shown for us in higher education, and I'm going to speak from education perspective, because education is the mother and father of all anything else: development, environmental safety, collaboration, participation, and also how do you empower people, and how do you share the information. I want to reduce temperature of hysteria, or I want to ask us to start a communication from different perspectives from the way we have been doing. When you look at the research in higher education, education as a whole, K-20, it focuses on pathology, what you do not know, but we rarely focus on what we do know. When you talk about the numbers, statistics, now the projection of how we are going to suffer, the pandemic has been caused by hysteria, miscommunication, and disinformation and misinformation. And because who we are not communicating, it showed us how paralyzed we were. Even we are still how paralyzed. For example, when I talk about we talk about democracy and the stable communities, we have been talking about those deficits as opposed to what people have, and then empower them by engaging them to create infrastructure. For example, you talked about water, clean water, and clean energy. All that clean water is available, and its energy is available, but it's an explode because whoever trains, educates, try to build infrastructure. Infrastructures are not built to benefit the local people, or the indigenous people, or the people who need it. It's to benefit a few who go in there and say, okay, we are putting this money to develop you. But the majority of money is spent at the district level where the money came from, as opposed to where it needs to be. So there is a kind of, I want us to engage differently in how we communicate in a more dialogue, not to communicate. 15 minutes, you can do nothing but just point out, which is I'm gonna do, for example. I just wanna point out our conversation should shift from debates, discussions, to a dialogue, whereby if I'm done with the dialogue, I take appropriate action, which will go to a solution, not to be dictated by the hysteria of misinformation or what I should be coming. What has caused the pandemic? If it actually, Corona did not it caused it, but it opened the pandemic. The pandemic of the institutionalized, discriminatory, predatory approach into the way we communicate and the way we do business, the way we develop economy. it's not benefiting the people who produce economy. And so I propose we change the direction of our conversation towards solutions, and then bring it on the table at equal level from diaspora, which is what has drained Africa of intellect as well as the ability to benefit themselves by depending on the Western way. And now we are looking at East. But we have abundance of environmental wealth, which we have not been able to teach the youth and the people to benefit from. We have created a dependency on even the mindset. There's no growth mindset from, the Africa, for example, is projected to be the center of the world economy in the next 30, 40 years. But that information comes like, oh no, it's no way that can happen, because I don't know what's happening on the ground. When you look at the statistics, where they presented from the media, not from the real people, the people are not communicating what their solutions are, the needs of solutions. So the education for this, for example, look at the African higher education, even from K-12. There's no manufacturing of any kind, no infrastructure. They depend on the government. You don't depend on government without putting money in the government. Government does not make money. It makes money from the private sector and also the people producing. So I want us to be careful of projecting fear by just defining all problem. And then start talking about asking the right question. Okay, how are we thinking about environmental sustainability from my individual self to the community, to local, national, international, and global, because we have no choice today. Infrastructure capacity building. What is it we need to do, which you are capable of doing, not what you are not capable of, because that's what we talk about. Manufacturing, clean water. The majority of, even Corona does not kill as many people like they're killed every day by poverty and dirty water, waterborne diseases. All you're doing, we have technology already developed whereby you can desalinate, filter, and also clean the water, also clean the energy so it does not pollute. A good example is how many people have died from Corona since the death in the West. That's another angle I want to, from educational side, I want to caution us by throwing numbers and then they don't add to the environmental test. So reflection and action, and that's what I want to call it. So partnership and collaboration towards empowerment as a new normal. We are not going to think to do the same way we have been doing. To think, if we need to teach the person washing hands, if there's no clean water, how you wash hands and avoid other diseases. So let's look at how we are messaging, how we are promoting, how we are communicating, how interrogating ourselves, not they, not them. Is what are you suggesting? Can you accept it to be applied to you and to your children? This where education and international and globalization have failed to look at, because most of the time we end up debating. We have media and the politicians discussing this, but in the school, in the academy, we lost. We let it. Africa has not started yet, but even here, we have hysteria since Corona. We have had African professors. I communicate with them. We're trying to write grants to them for the first time, but they did not even have the idea how to engage to solve to get some funding to solve the local problems. And that's where, because it's not their job to look for funding to create manufacturing, to create industry, to improve economy, to improve the health. Just information, health information is critical. So we need to start looking at how do we collaborate for real. Collaboration means working together, not me depending to you and you depend on me. I want to just call upon the, I'm going to cut what I was going to say to go clear, so I can paint the picture in a normal way. A study on modernizing learning, modernizing learning such that the landscape of learning has broadened. It has broadened, now encompassing the full spectrum of formal, informal, and experiential training, education, and the development. The traditional concept of education is changing. Employers are placing less value on formal degrees instead of experiences. Experience matters. Life skills such as grit and teamwork matter today more than ever before. Performance-based credentials, not just a certificate, including competency badges and micro certificates, are taking place are replacing transcripts to document individual traits, talent, skills, and acknowledgement of preferences and what have you. The study further suggests that similarly, age is becoming less of a marker of knowledge, skill, and capabilities. These shifts, in turn, are disrupting conventional career trajectories as age correlates less and less with income and the leadership potentials, and even changing the way we perceive employment and define our value as contributors to society. We use phrases like future learning, modernizing, assessment, and so on and so forth. So I propose we get away from the traditional way of doing things, because that we've been doing that, but we're not getting anywhere. And the pandemic, as a hysteria, I call it, has opened the door to realize how paralyzed we are, how disconnected we are. So we need to think from education from dependency to interdependence rather, and focus on health. Health is your first wealth. You need to educate the young people to know that. Entrepreneurship mindset has to be the cornerstone of the messaging, because everybody is naturally entrepreneur, especially Africans. I know I grew up where I didn't even know, I didn't see a car, I didn't go to hospital until I was 18 years. I'm here, I'm healthy, almost 70 years, I don't pop pills, because I was taught to learn about who I am and also how to mind my environment to enhance sustain my life. I was taught to be a productive person, not to be sitting down and waiting for someone to employ me. Infrastructure. Communication is the number one. Like, for example, this Zoom is the only tool which has been able to connect people. Others not there, but you find this engaging young people can produce this in better communication technology. If you look at the connectivity in schools, government, they're all parallels. University close. Here, I didn't know close. I thought it's normal, because it's use Zoom and the online, the same way we usually do. So infrastructure and the capacity to connect, and also focus on environmental sustainability. We are wasting a lot of land, a lot of energy, a lot of resources from disasters, which happen every year. But we don't pay attention to that because we are trying to look for the best out there, where it's not here. Creativity is not encouraged in terms of, even in agriculture, when you're microfinancing, microeconomics, that's what you need to look at, to say, okay, the person who sells the greens, apples, and all that, that person, if we focus on helping them to create a capacity to produce and preserve and to also to feed themselves first before they even go sell, it will help. Clean energy. We have already an organization here we have formed together, which called, for us, we are creating a university in Kenya with the Kenyan professors here who work here in institutions here. We are creating Diaspora University. It's going to be, or we partner with the WPI. Those are solution things. I don't see Nigeria or Africa, other places in Africa partnering with the institutions here. We work here, but we do not invest to put back what we drain the brains from Africa. Now diaspora is calling for the brain gate. And you don't have to be there to do that. So for example, look at the panel here. And also, I wanted to point out that we created a diaspora university, which is going to be the one of the kind in the world, whereby it produces producers of knowledge economy, creators of jobs, not to depend on the government, but it's using ourselves. And so is any other, I know there are other people scheduled to speak. We have an African Diaspora Coalition. There's so many diaspora organizations in Europe and here and in Asia of African people of African descent, but we have not been communicated. The last link I want to link to what really led to the pandemic is also the racism, systemic racism. We need to name it. Don't hide it from statistics or because someone died here. It's been thousands of years. We'll look at the Jewish oppression, women oppression, Black oppression, white oppression. We need to own that. And we need to speak to the power, not to just be throwing it, the statistics just threatening and we don't give some.
2 more minutes, sir.
Okay, leveraging diaspora through partnership in the collaboration as a brain gain is a proposal. I'm engaging Kenyans and other Africans here as our counterpart, and to partnering with Global Peace. It has shown that without diaspora coalition and collaboration and partnership, there will be no peace, because majority of what grips the world is conflict. So how can you tell me to be happy and go to work and then I'm not safe? I don't feel safe with my neighbor. I remember a colleague of mine, a Nigerian guy who was wealthy. He said, I can't go to Nigeria because I have to have bodyguard, and even bodyguard, they get blown up. Now, where do we go? Those are questions I want to say. My kids, I have 4 kids, married to African American, but I see very little, and I work in a historically Black institution. We have our first Nigerian born chancellor, but you could see the big the hate, the resistance of embracing.
Philliph, 1 more minute, please, sir.
So yeah, so I wanted to say that we need to have a new normal. Dialogue is a key, and from dialogue to trialogue. Trialogue is looking after triple heritage, and it's start looking our problems, how they, white people, Black people, yellow people, we are affected by the same thing, the disconnect of information and the lack of collaboration and partnership. And I'll leave that for the questions.